Good morning. My name is Kevin Brock. I'm the Chief of Police, Summerdale Police Department in Summerdale, Alabama. I want to thank everyone for being here today. On August 22nd at approximately 19:15 hours, our department responded to a motor vehicle collision at the intersection of Highway 59 and County Road 36. Upon initial assessment, we had two vehicles involved in a horrific collision. Due to the extensive damage, it took us a minute to realize that one of the vehicles was a police cruiser. Further investigation revealed it to be a Mount Vernon Police Department patrol vehicle driven by Officer Ivan Lopez, who died from his injuries. Mount Vernon Police Chief Duncan Harrington is with us here today. We welcome you, Chief. We would also like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the Lopez family this morning. First, I would like to thank all the agencies that helped with the scene and with the investigation. In cooperation with the DA's office, the Baldwin County Sheriff's Department, and ALEA, we have been able to establish the facts of the collision, and some of which we will discuss here today. What we know: a gray 2017 GMC truck was traveling west on County Road 36 at an excessive rate of speed. Officer Lopez was traveling south on Highway 59 in the outside lane. The truck approached the stop sign at Highway 59 and never slowed down. He crossed 4 lanes of traffic and made contact with Lopez and caused what can only be described as an explosion. We believe that Officer Lopez was killed upon impact. As for the driver of the truck, alcohol was a contributing factor. Again, the investigation is still ongoing. The identity of the driver has been verified, and warrants have been issued for the arrest of Tyler Lee Henderson of Orange Beach, Alabama. Current charges are reckless murder, DUI assault, driving while suspended, and violation of the Alabama ignition interlock law. At this time, I'd like to hand it off to the Baldwin County District Attorney, Bob Wilters.
Thank you all again for being here. First, want to say our thoughts and prayers are with the Lopez family. They've been through a lot these last several days. Please keep them in your prayers. First of all, I'd like to thank the first responders that appeared on the scene. That would be the Summerdale Volunteer Fire Department, Robertsdale Volunteer Fire Department, Foley Fire Department, Styx River Volunteer Fire Department, along with MedStar and Life Flight. Also the law enforcement agencies that appeared on the scene: Summerdale Police Department, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, Baldwin County Sheriff's Office. Further law enforcement agencies that helped in this investigation were the Foley Police Department, Orange Beach Police Department, Baldwin County Sheriff's Department, and investigators with the Sheriff's Department, and the Florida Highway Patrol. I want to thank Sheriff Hausmack for providing us with 4 investigators to help in this investigation, and those gentlemen are here with us today. I also would like to thank Representative Shane Stringer for being here. Representative Stringer, thank you, who's also former law enforcement, and we appreciate what you're doing for us in Montgomery. I will now turn this over to my Chief Assistant District Attorney, if she will come up here. Teresa.
I just want to discuss a little bit with you about the charges that are pending for Tyler Henderson. As DA Wilters first stated, he is charged with murder. This is going to be a reckless murder under the reckless murder provision that Tyler Henderson did under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to human life, recklessly engage in conduct, which caused the death of Ivan Lopez, to wit, driving at excessive speeds and or recklessly driving and or under the influence of alcohol and or failure to stop at a stop sign, which led to the crash that caused the death of Ivan Lopez. He is also charged with assault first, DUI, and this stems from driving under the influence of the alcohol where his passenger was seriously injured. He's also been charged with driving while suspended and the violation of the ignition interlock device. At this time, I'll open it for any questions.
Why
Why so long, 9 days, to find out who this is on what seems to be a pretty basic piece of information, being the driver of the vehicle?
As far as why so long, this is an ongoing investigation, and it will remain an ongoing investigation. And what might seem to the public as something that should be an open-shut issue is not. These things take time. It's not like what you see on television. It's not CSI. It's not NCIS. It takes time to develop every fact that we need in determining what are the correct charges for the death of a victim. And that's not done on the scene. That's done with many manpower hours later.
Teresa, the interlock thing that says he's had previous DUIs, is that correct? Is there more than one in the history of this guy?
The violation of the interlock device, that does stem from a previous DUI where he is required to have an interlock device, and he does not have that in this vehicle.
He was booked in this morning at 9:12. Is he going to stay there for a bond hearing? Will he be released on bond? I know he has an attorney. Have they already made arrangements for him to be released?
I'm sorry, Debbie. We've asked for a bond hearing to be held. I don't have a time and date for that yet. I can only assume that with the requirements of the law that it will be sometime tomorrow.
Do you have any idea, or are you releasing at this point, how drunk was he and the speed he was going?
I'm not in a position to discuss that at this time. All that I can tell you is that it was an excessive amount of speed, and we're still waiting on voluminous amounts of records that, while we have requested, we are not in receipt of those, and so I would be basing it off of hearsay, which I'm not comfortable doing.
Where was he coming from? Do we know that? Is that something you can talk about? From Orange Beach, was here in Summerdale that night. Where was he going to? Was he at home? Do you know?
The only thing that I can tell you about that is that we believe through investigation that he was coming from the Orange Beach area, headed to the Robertsdale area.
He's from Orange Beach. Can you tell us where his DUI convictions came from? What agencies were involved?
I don't want to speak to that yet. I can tell you that we're still looking into those. I know that he had arrests in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach.
There was a passenger in the vehicle. Obviously, the driver, Mr. Henderson, he's out of the hospital. He's been booked in jail. What about the passenger? Conditions on the passenger?
I have been in touch with that. I know that at one point in time he had been released, but I'm not sure his whereabouts at this point in time.
We had heard that Henderson possibly left the hospital after being taken for treatment that night, or maybe in the following days. Can you say if there's any validity to that?
I don't have any information as to that at this time.
Was Officer Lopez's wife is right now the first she's finding out, or today with the arrest, who the driver of that vehicle was, or is she known for some time?
I don't know whether she's known for some time. I can tell you that I personally called her myself last night so that she would not be hearing about any facts at a press conference.
How are they doing, Teresa? How is the Lopez family doing, especially with this information?
When I spoke to his wife, she was upset, of course, at all the surrounding circumstances, but she was grateful and thankful that, and being the wife of a law enforcement officer, she probably gets it better than anybody. She knows what work goes into these. She knows how long it takes, and she was wonderful. She was grateful and appreciative of all the work that was going into this.
So the frustration of the climate of frustration that we've had over these last 10 days, not knowing and not getting the information, she didn't feel that. Is that what you're saying?
I can't answer that for her. I can just answer that based on my conversation with her, she was just grateful that we're at the resolution that we're at currently.
I think that we've all probably dealt with similar cases in the sense that someone lost a life in a car accident. A driver was identified very quickly. So what has been different in this case as opposed to maybe some others where we knew the next day or two who was driving that vehicle, who was responsible?
I mean, the only thing that I can tell you about that is I think you're making this more rare of a circumstance than it actually is. We have lots of investigations that names aren't released right away and that they're ongoing investigations till we determine what charges are appropriate. They're just not picked up on by the news. So I don't think it's a rarity.
But was there something in particular about this case and what he may have said or done after the fact that lengthened this investigation or that information being released?
No, I just think that this was, it's a complicated investigation, as you heard earlier from DA Wilters and Chief Brock. Just the numerous agencies that were present. This is also a collision that occurred on a Monday night at 7 p.m. on 59. The bystanders. There's a lot to be done in these cases, and we're going to take our time with it.
Can we speak, Chief from Mount Vernon?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like to, this has to be a relief to you too, sir, to have some resolution, at least to this point in this case.
Yes, ma'am. It's very great to have this. I can't thank everybody involved enough, from Attorney General Steve Marshall's office, Summerdale, Baldwin County DA's office, everybody involved, on behalf of my department and on behalf of the family. Speaking to your question, how the time I think has been good for the family, just for the simple fact that they want it to be a good, firm case, and so we appreciate on behalf of the family and the police department the work and the effort that's gone into it.
Chief Harrington, the police department is a family.
Yes, ma'am.
How are y'all doing?
We're grieving. We're going to grieve, but we also have 1,500 other citizens that we have to take care of, and so we're going to do our job, but we're going to grieve together.
Chief, speaking of those citizens, we spoke to some of them, I think a lot of us did, who knew Officer Lopez personally, either through work or just in passing the community. It's a tight-knit community, small community.
Yes, sir.
Can you remind people of just what he meant, not just to the department, but to the community there?
He was a smiling face to the community. Whether he was, as I said at his funeral, whether he was taking someone to the grocery store that couldn't get there themselves to help them get groceries, or whether he was feeding stray animals or helping take care of anybody. He would go play dominoes at the senior center with some of the senior citizens in town. And so he was one of those officers that as a chief you love to have, because he got what it meant to be a community-oriented police officer.
Sir, I know obviously it goes without saying the impact of this, but law enforcement officers put their lives on the line every single day. But for an Officer Lopez to be headed home off duty and for negligence, like this, to be the reason why he loses his life, can you just talk about the impact of that and what that means to you?
He was still on duty at the time of the accident. I do want to make sure that is clear. But as far as the impact, it's hard no matter what. It is very difficult being a traffic collision in this type of situation. But whether it be a collision or whether it be a shooting or anything, it's still family.
So what's next in the prosecution, or where do we go from here? I know, Teresa, you were saying you still got a lot of investigation to do, but what's the next step?
So basically, the next step, of course, will be a bond hearing. And then once the bond hearing takes place, then I believe he has 30 to 45 days, I can't remember exactly how long, to request a preliminary hearing. If he requests a preliminary hearing, that date will be set, and at that point in time, we'll have to put on our evidence of establishing probable cause. After that's done, then it goes on to a grand jury.
The passenger in this case, is he considered a victim?
He is.
And so that's why the assault charge?
That's correct.
Do you have any information on the extent of his injuries?
I know that at one point in time he was in the intensive care unit. The only other thing that I'd like to add before we conclude is members of the ALEA, the State Trooper's Office, they are actively working on this case currently, so that's why they could not be present with us today. But I just wanted to recognize the fact that they put a lot of work into this case as well, just both on the scene and after.
Can you give us an idea of how fast he was going? I know you guys mentioned high rate of speed, obviously. Pretty fast. Are you able to say?
Not at this time. Thank y'all.
bond hearing, you gonna request no bond on this case? If you discussed that or thought about that when he comes up for his bond hearing tomorrow?
I haven't gotten to that point yet. I think that's going to have to be a discussion and a review of his full criminal history, which I've not had the opportunity to do yet. Thank you.